Hi, friends. Welcome back to State of the Union. I'm your host, Josh Horton. Today, I'm talking with designer and lettering artist Cymone Wilder, the head, heart, and hands behind Cymone and Moose. Cymone's work lives at the intersection of type, identity, and conviction, and she's been using her voice and visuals to speak into the moment that we're all living through. We get into what it feels like to walk into a creative space that still feels like a boys' club, why representation at conferences matter, and how hiring, ticket prices, and corporate budgets are all tied up in who actually gets in the room. Most of all, we dig into what it means to make political work as a creative, why discomfort is a part of the job, and how Cymone uses simple but imperfect letters to say the hard thing in a way that's hard to ignore. If you're a creative who's struggling to make it make sense, this episode's for you. And before we get into it, a quick reminder, State of the Union and Creative Workers Union are completely self-funded. There are no sponsors behind this. It's just us, these conversations, and a lot of editing hours. If this podcast helps you, consider chipping in a few bucks a month to support the show. Even the cost of one coffee makes a difference and helps keep these episodes ad-free and coming regularly. You can support the podcast at creativeworks.co/podcast. The link is in the show notes. All right, let's jump in. So how are you?
Good. I feel like life is changing in 100 different ways right now, and the world feels bad in some places, but overall good.
Let's sit there for a minute. I feel the exact same way. It's hard not to get emotional about it. For those of you who don't know, Cymone's been with Creative Works for spoke in 2020 at our first online conference, amazing. And then a couple of years ago, went to Seattle with us and did a hand lettering workshop. So I've been following her for a while now and trying to plug, what she's got going on into what we've got going on, honestly, because you speak up, right? The work that you create inspires me to speak up. And I think there's something really amazing about we can go into this in a little bit, but there's something obviously imperfect, like your whole thing's like good words, badly drawn or whatever that is, but it's like, it's imperfect, but it's bold and it's also very intentional, right? So, and in some ways intentionally imperfect. And it's such a good fit, that aesthetic and that approach. And you do it a myriad of ways, whether it's script or block type or whatever it is. But you have this approach that I think speaks to a lot of people right now. Tell me kind of like, you got on with the, hey, everything's good, right? Like, it's like that we're trained to say that everything's good.
Yeah.
But like, just under the surface, especially for me, it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I just wondered if you could kind of give me some insight to, kind of where your head's at right now as a person, as a creative professional, as an artist. I feel like I feel personally convicted that we have a duty right now. And I'd love to know, I'd love to just know more about that while I catch my breath.
Yeah. I mean, I think just need to acknowledge that in a lot of ways I am coming from a place of privilege. Like, I have a good stable job. I have a roof over my head. At least right now, I'm not worried about, the next paycheck coming in. All of that could change tomorrow. I always say, like, we're all like 2 tragedies away from being homeless. So we're not, any better than anybody else struggling right now.
Especially in this country.
Yeah, truly. And this is maybe not a privilege, but I'm also maybe a little more battle-worn than everybody, just because I come from a minority group that has been more or less in a situation like this at least my entire life, if not, many generations before me.
For sure.
And so, like, that sucks, but I also don't feel like maybe this moment feels as shocking as it could otherwise, because this is so on brand for what we have seen this country do to people that look like me for generations. So I just want to acknowledge that, like, I have the privilege of having a comfortable life at the moment, and I have the privilege of maybe having experienced this in some different shades over my entire life. But it feels bad. Things do feel bad. They feel very hard right now. And it's, I mean, especially feeling tough at the start of this year when so many people are losing affordable care and a lot of the safety nets they're used to. And seeing that happen to like artist friends left and right. Like I'm seeing a lot of freelance friends who are saying my premium went from this to like exceptionally, you know, exponentially this. And that's hard to see. That's hard to watch. And I mean, and that is on top of like all the other atrocities that are literally happening at us and to us multiple times a day.
And around the world too.
Yeah. And it almost makes it like hard to prioritize the grief and the frustration because there's just so many different ways we experience that right now. And honestly, like creating lettering stuff for this feels so like small and unimportant, and it feels like the absolute least I can do, but it also is something I can do. Like it's a start to a thing I can do to selfishly make myself feel better about the situation and my contribution, but also I was thinking about this yesterday, like I think my place in the quote unquote revolution is to give people tools to, you know, start conversations and to say things that are hard to say on their own. So like I create the little lettering pieces that are just thoughts on my mind, and it luckily seems to, you know, really grab people. And it's funny because I think like all my lettering stuff kind of looks and feels the same. I think I am just naturally kind of attracted to protest poster layout style. But I think that like I always get the most engagement when I'm talking about these things or like saying a thing, which, you know, pros and cons to that. But I don't know, it just feels like if I can't be in the street marching every day because I have to like do my life, the least I can do is put some letters on a piece of paper and, you know, share that with others who might be feeling the same way or, you know, want to start a conversation. Like the thing, I posted something yesterday that was just like, we are underreacting, which is not like, it's not really a call to action. And it's not really like saying anything specific, but I was just like, this is how I feel. And if someone, you know, with 100 little followers posts this, it just hopefully like starts to slowly wake people up. And I'm not foolish in thinking like my little one lettering piece is going to change, you know, anything in a substantive way, but it just feels like I have to do that because that's the least I can do.
Well, one of the things I think, this is a random thought, but like one of the things that attracts me to you and your work is that fact that you're not like, I wouldn't consider you an influencer, right? Like you're not trying to put yourself out there in the influencer way that we know online, right? Like you're not putting yourself out there. You're not talking. You're not like driving people to your work or driving people to a course or driving people to, you know, give you money or whatever. And I think that authenticity, honestly, at the end of the day, like just me knowing your work and how you operate, not knowing we're not close or anything, but just knowing that's about you. You do that way gives me confidence that like it's coming from an honest place. And you have the power of experience and articulation, right? And I think that's so important for all of us. Kind of one of the things I wanted to talk about is, and this is just natural, I didn't even write this down, but I feel like there's so many people that you and I are probably friends with. I know I am, that are, you know, they probably wouldn't say stay out of politics, right? But they may say things like, you're not doing yourself a favor by talking about these things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Or, it may go as, like I have a longtime friend that we don't talk anymore because he just doesn't think a conference place is to like speak up. Our community's place that has a conference, and we do more than that, but a community's place is to stand up and speak up about these things, because ultimately what it does is it alienates my bubble, right? It alienates our community from certain people, and it puts me in a smaller bubble, which I definitely feel right now. I mean, our attendance numbers from last year to this year, from 2004 to 25 are a lot smaller, half smaller. Our engagement online is a lot smaller. But I know that that's not because I drew lines in the sand. And I think one of the things that I hear you saying is, and it's what I experience too, is when I do draw lines in the sand and I do speak up and I do say the things that matter, that's when engagement goes up.
Yeah.
Right?
People do care.
People care, right? And whether or not you're able, again, whether or not you're able or you feel comfortable, like whether you have a job, a lot of people have corporate jobs. There's people working at companies. I mean, these huge corporations that they don't want to speak up, especially if you're in a leadership role, right? Whatever company USA that's just huge, they don't want to speak up. And one of the things that they can do is they can share your work and and engage with us online in that way. And again, I get it, because there's two sides of this. Like if I had a full-time job right now, I would be in so much of a different, I'd be less soft than I am, frankly, emotionally.
Yeah.
But I don't. And so I'm just raw all the time. So anyway, I just think that's the power of what you do is so important. And what's cool about that is we've been doing that as artists for so long. I mean, I think you could draw back to like the Renaissance times, and even before that, if it wasn't communication, it was the power of wonder and awe and visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Because back then, painting something on a ceiling that looked somewhat realistic, or even when things became more abstract, was just, people couldn't believe it, right? And so I just think I think those things are so important, especially in times like these, for us, to step up and say things, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to, you can say it in your own voice. You don't have to say fuck ice or whatever it is. I mean, a lot of people, like I just said that on this podcast, but like a lot of people don't want to use that language, and that's okay. There are other ways to do this. So let's jump into the Amazon conversation real quick. So you have a full-time job and you have a practice on the side, but to most people, they would look at what you're creating online and go like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Cymone is like killing it as an artist, full-time, freelance. I mean, you just don't know until you don't know. It's like when people look at our website, they think we make all this money selling these tickets to this conference. Yeah. And it's because it's designed well and we're doing a good job. But like in this economy and in this society, it just doesn't add up. So tell me kind of how you, as an artist, as a creative person who doesn't put up with the bullshit, are able to kind of put up with the grind, and how you, I mean, stomach it is a dramatic way of saying it, but it's probably true on a regular basis.
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably have like a good booklet of excuses I tell myself to feel comfortable working for a company like this. Like, I mean, I literally say this often, and this is probably the thing that could get me in trouble, but I think I work for, probably one of the companies that's doing the worst for the planet. Like, there's a ton of good that Amazon does, but there's a lot of bad that Amazon does, and they do it for the wrong reasons. And that's something that's really uncomfortable. And I think really the biggest reason that I am still there, outside of just like a financial safety net, is that the team I work with, one, are just like really good people. They're just good humans. They care about humans. And I think we're all kind of and I mean, I definitely can't speak for everybody, but I think that there's a quorum around recognizing that this place is what this place is. It's a corporate giant. They have corporate bottom lines and people that they need to satisfy. And that sucks. But at the same time, we are providing, pretty critical services to a lot of people. And I think we
Right.
can do that by building, at least within our own team, a really healthy culture that looked after the human first. Because when you do that, you make better work and you make more money. And I don't think
Sure.
that that's like too crazy to, try to push and believe. So like I'm one person at a company of 1.5 million people. Like
Right.
there's, I could like work so hard and be the biggest, advocate, activist, whatever, and it never make a dent in something like Amazon. But I go to work and I want to be a cheerleader for my coworkers. Like I'm a bit of a Grinch in real life and I complain a lot, but I try to like bring the best spirit to the job as possible. Like I try to bring levity into meetings that are tense and crazy. And I don't know, I try to just show up in a really light and positive way. And I think that ends up building trust within our
Of
team
course.
and then again outside of our team. And then because I'm like building this trust, then my voice is trusted. So I can
Right.
start to talk about the harder things and push on norms that are not helpful to everybody. And hopefully like that type of thing reverberates out. And again, it's not going to go very far, but at least I can make my own little bubble, my own little world within this company a
Of
little
course.
healthier, or like work to do that alongside my team.
Yeah, we're just no longer in a place in society. I mean, for a lot of different reasons. I mean, you just mentioned this, like your financial responsibilities in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have financial responsibilities. So, unless we're going to just do, honestly, this is the thing I talk about all the time, which is the tension, I guess, with inside me. Like, unless we're all going to just like pick up and put on a robe and put on some sandals and start living in the desert like Jesus,
Right.
like we're not going to get it right.
Right.
And
We
so,
can't
so
beat the system, unfortunately,
no,
like as it stands.
no. And unfortunately, I think it's stacked against us intentionally.
Mhm.
To tire us to make us crazy,
Yeah.
to tire us out, to exhaust us. So we'll just kind of accept more and more bullshit,
Mhm.
until we burn out,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, but you can't fault anyone. Again, like if I could have a corporate gig, like I've been, applying to jobs at St. Jude.
Mhm.
I don't get interviews. I've applied to jobs as CDs and I have 2 decades worth of experience doing
Right.
good work that's not in product design. So I'm not a
Mhm.
great fit for, UI, UX stuff or
Right. Right.
anything that's like focused on AI. Again, I know how to use AI or whatever, but, anyway, it's a really crazy world right now and you can't fault anyone for getting a job and having a steady job, having a paycheck, having 401k, all of those things, because they're literally necessary to make a living.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I always think back to, when I was just starting out and, had no money and was, had this job that was paying like poverty wages and taking advantage of employees. And I just remember that like stress around my finances being
yes,
some of the greatest stress I have ever felt. And so I just personally, for me, having that financial safety net, unfortunately, from a corporate job, is something that allows me to circumvent that stress and create
yeah,
better work. So, like, for me, it's kind of like I always, toss around do I go full time freelance? And I think just at this point in my life, it doesn't maybe feel as comfortable because I just don't want to be working 80 hours a week to like just be barely making it and then creating
totally,
some of the like most creatively stifled, work I've ever made. Like, and to be fair, Amazon having that job, like the team I'm on is very flexible and they're, very friendly to the fact that I do, side projects
yep,
outside of work. And so I am incredibly lucky to like have a very healthy balance right now, doing both of those things, sleeping 8 hours a day, having weekends and not being, constantly worried about my next paycheck so that I can just
Absolutely.
make great work and like explore and have fun. So like, yes, corporate big guy is bad and terrible, but unfortunately is also making it possible for me to like live a comfortable life and to create, in a very good environment, I guess.
Yeah. I think that, again, we live in a system that is obviously broken, but we have to find ways of making work in that system. And it sounds like you have leadership with their head screwed on straight.
Yeah.
That'll give you that freedom, right? And that flexibility that you need to probably just for your own soul.
I feel so lucky to have like found a pocket that's really healthy. And I can't say it's like been this healthy the entire time I've been here. We've definitely had, folks who are like the typical corporate, climber and wants to,
Right.
climb up by stepping on people. And you can't prevent that all the time. But I think by and large, you just have some really like well-adjusted, healthy humans who are honest about what's going on, transparent, like, and again, put the person first, not the work first. Like, I think that's what's like so frustrating about the corporate leadership is I just feel like if you treat the people right, you're going to just get better work and you will make more
That's
money.
right.
And I think that
Yep.
they're just going straight to the make more money bit without thinking about how do we get there in a way that is healthy for people and healthy for the business. But I'm
Yeah. And
also, little person compared to some of these big people making big
sure.
decisions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're totally right on the people first aspect of it. I find from my conversations with friends that work corporate gigs is the most frustrating thing is that the people who, especially, well, I won't name organizations, but in certain organizations, the people that are in leadership climb the ladder, and they were a better fit for climbing a ladder than they were actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And so, in some ways, you could say that they're kind of like performing or posing in that work and that role. And so it's a weird dynamic to have, someone who's got either more talent, more experience, more abilities in a lower role, and then just the tension that environment and the frustration that environment causes. And I just think that that's one of the things that's really, really tough in any system, right? Is when you have people in leadership, and this is a bigger problem for a country, right? You've got people in leadership that, are there because of cronyism, nepotism, whatever it is. And then you've got people below them, and below them, I mean, making less money, have less power, whatever, that aren't able to stand up and contribute.
Right.
And how quickly it burns those people out, right?
Yeah.
It's just nonsensical, and I tell myself all the time, like, I'd be able to compartmentalize that for a corporate gig. But then my wife's like, no, you couldn't. No, there's no way you could. There's no way.
I don't think healthy humans, I don't think a healthy human, maybe not a healthy human, but like, I don't think most of us can. Like, I think it's kind of a little spooky when someone can compartmentalize that well. Like,
right.
Like, I feel like out of all of my jobs, I find it the easiest to kind of shut the laptop down, like at the end of the day with Amazon, because like I know who they are. I know like what they've done into this world. So that just makes it easy to be like, well, I mean, you got my 40 hours. I think I did great work during those 40 hours, but that's all you get. And I don't know, that is, I guess, a silver lining is I just don't feel like, I don't know. I think I lost the thread of what you're talking about, but I don't feel super
you're still
like committed to going beyond. And so I don't know. There's like some. I guess it's also like I can't like I can't take myself out of the work either. Like I want to just be like, well, I'm designing a thing for this AI thing, and Like I can just be a robot and be stoic about it, but I'm still I'm still putting my own mark into this work. And
Yes.
so I do still feel emotionally impacted by, maybe critique or how it's received into the world and, all this stuff. So I think it's kind of impossible to like completely separate yourself from the work, even when it is, working for something. So I don't know, spooky.
Yeah. I think you start off with the compartmentalization is spooky, and it totally is. And not just in corporate way. It's just like, when you're online and you see someone who's obviously seen something
Mm-hmm.
and they compartmentalize it in this way that ignores it or whatever, or changes the narrative. I mean, it's ridiculously spooky. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that part, and I'll get off of this, but we just obviously went through something, but it's like, when you've got leadership from the top down who just aren't telling the truth,
Yeah.
and who are basically narcissists and sociopaths and people who can, like, compartmentalizing is how they do life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's how that type of behavior kind of comes down to the rest of us. One of the things I was just going to say is, like, you seem to, I wouldn't call this compartmentalizing, but I feel like what you've been able to do is to just rationalize the work that you're in. You're able to put yourself into it. You're also, I talked to my wife about this. She works for a medical device company, and great company, but she's always fearful that she's got to stay at her computer, that it's got to, she's going to be working all the time, that she's got to, work after hours to catch up on blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and I'm like, well, why don't you just go for a higher level position or whatever? Like, Josh, if you do that, they expect more out of you, expect more hours, expect blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, I don't want to do that. And so we just we went through this dynamic of people at work. Right. And so for the most part, what I suspected was, and the way I kind of calm her nerves about some of this stuff, is that there are a lot of people. I mean, think of how many people work in this country. A lot of those people are giving their best every day and putting their work into themselves into the work, that care about the work, that care about the job that they're doing, care about its role in society, all these things. And there are a lot of people that just kind of like check a box, clock in, clock out, spend a lot of time on their phone, spend a lot of the time shopping, doing all kinds of these crazy things online, while they're supposed to be on the clock, whether it's remote or in the office. Yeah. And so I think, I don't know if this makes a point, but I think for all of us that are just working, to be able to kind of rationalize, gratefulness and time, and be able to say, like, hey, for these 40 hours, you got me. And I'm going to give everything I can to you within reason. Obviously, I don't want to be like I'm hustling for some corporate jobs, but some corporations. But I just think there's something about, especially when social media got wrapped up in the mix of it, there's just something about being distracted and not working hard. And I think folks that, here's what I would say is, I think folks that actually do their job, do what they're asked, not that listen and take orders and all that stuff, but do what they're asked and innovate and come up with great stuff and put themselves into the work and are tactful and respectful, they'll go farther than people that are just trying to, clock in, clock out and things like that. So, because you could just be one of those artist types that are like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Which,
I'm honestly, just gonna... I try to phone it in at work. I try so hard sometimes because I'm like, I don't owe them any more than this. And I just you give me 5 minutes of that mindset and it's gone, because I just get into the work and I'm just naturally trying to do the best. You grow up being told to do the best that you can. Yeah. And so it's hard to shut that off, even if I'm actively take it easy. You don't owe them anything more than, XYZ. And I don't know. I think it's because my coworkers are great, and we're all we're all trying to just make good work. And it's hard to be surrounded by people who, make good work and, truly try to drop the ball.
Yeah. I wish for for a lot of the corporations, even the ones that I applied to, not just St. Jude, I don't want to call them out, but like, I just wish that those corporations had better leadership that, like you can just hear, like you talk to the people there and they're like, oh man, we need to change this up. We need a new creative director. We need a new this, we need a new blah, blah, blah. And then the plays that get made to get people to the next level are just so like hiring from inside, hiring from the same people that got you there in the first place. And it's like, well, wait a minute, like, or doing that and then consulting from the outside, but never changing the play. Right. Which I think is really an interesting dynamic. And I know it would probably drive me crazy, but, yeah, I think eventually, I'm optimistic. I think eventually, maybe not in the next 3 years, but eventually we'll all be working towards a better place. Right. And so that our work that we're doing right now isn't going to be all for nothing. Right. Like, and so I think that's a way to kind of stay optimistic. Quick pause. State of the Union is presented by Creative Workers Union. We're a community of creative professionals and commercial artists who care more about people than platforms and more about craft than clout. If you're listening to this and thinking about the rooms you want to be in this year, that's exactly why we're doing this work. Our gatherings are built for small studios, freelancers, and in-house teams who rarely see themselves centered on stage, but carry a huge amount of the real creative weight in this industry. If you want to be in the room that doesn't feel like a boys club, where the goal is honest conversation and real connection, come hang with us at Creative Works West, April 30 through May 2nd in Seattle this spring. This year, we've rolled back our pricing to make sure it's accessible and the right folks are in the room. Find out more at creativeworks.co/west. All right, back to Cymone. I think it's really amazing. And I talk about this a lot too with artists. Like, so I live in Memphis, Memphis, Tennessee. There are a lot of people here. I'm not as plugged in as I used to be, but there are a lot of people in Memphis who are artists. And I've tried to help them understand that they can leverage their creative sensibilities and artistic sensibilities for commercial work, not just murals and not just, not just murals and not just, I don't know, magazine illustrations or editorial illustrations, but like real commercial work, because the way that we're all wired is so different from someone who's so completely analytical or who's just like, I've got to see this, then see this and see that. And so, I just think one of the things I wanted to kind of tie a bow on is this idea of your value within these big corporate commerce systems because you are creative. And right now, I don't think anyone's making a lot of money making art, and even if you're a designer, a graphic designer, have your own practice or whatever it is, I don't think many people are making a lot of money or having new business during this time.
Yeah.
And so having a job like what you have, I wouldn't call it a goal, but it's really the best thing. And one of the things that I tell artists here is like, hey, well, imagine if you didn't always have a handout for the next mural and you could go work for this agency or go work for this company and be in the art department or be a graphic designer or a content creator. And then you could practice your art on the side.
Yeah.
And you've got a full-time job, you've got insurance, you've got all the things that you need. And then you can practice your work at the end of the day or on the weekends or whenever you can make the margin for it. I think that's a really powerful thing to like basically help artists become more independent.
Yeah.
But I don't think that artists always see it that way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think both sides of the work are practice for each other. Like, I think what I do at my day job strengthens what I do freelancing, and what I do freelancing strengthens what I do at my day job. Like that. And I'm trying
what
to
do
be
you do
more
at your day
intentional.
job? Not to
Say that
cut you
again?
off, but like sorry to cut you off, but what exactly is your role at Amazon, just so we can better understand that?
So my title is like flip-flop between a senior designer and a senior art director, which, everywhere is a different type of thing. Every agency kind of means a different thing, but I do mostly art direction, and our team is mostly operating like a in-house brand team in that we're making stuff for other people to make stuff. Like we make a lot of guides. We originate a lot of work and then pass it off to agencies and teams to like then make the deliverables and all of that good stuff. So This past year, I've been working on a lot of sports campaigns, which I thought I would hate and actually love. It's like earning our team a lot of trust across the company because we're just thinking slightly more strategically than before. And, it's been a lot of fun. And I think that like having to sell things to people who don't understand what we're doing or don't understand like the creative speak that, we understand within our own industry is such great practice for then having to sell my work when I'm freelancing. Yep. And I'm not like, I don't think I'm really selling my work quite in the same way, but I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things that I do at my day job that really doesn't cross over a ton with what I do in freelance, but just the skills that I'm practicing every day at work end up always helping on the other side. And then when I'm freelancing, because I'm like, I get the opportunity to push the boundaries creatively quite a bit more when I'm freelancing. And I'm talking to people in a different way when I'm freelancing and, having to sell myself in a different way over there. Like those skills then come back to the day job, like doing conferences. Like that's something, when I did Creative Works the first time, I was scared out of my mind. I had no idea how to do it. But I think that there was like stuff I was doing at my day job that helped me feel confident in the conferences. And then now I'm doing all these conferences and I feel like a more confident speaker at my day job. Like there's just like so many things that inform each other. And yeah, I've been trying to be intentional about in my freelance work, not doing brand work quite as much so that there is a little less crossover between the day job and the freelance. But I don't know. I think they both have a lot of value for me right now. And I just feel like I'm learning so much doing both. So
yeah, it's also just a mindset, right? Like you could be totally negative about all of what you just said. You could say that, oh, I just have this job and, I want so badly to just be an artist and just be doing this. But like every day you're just learning, right? You're learning there, you're learning here, like you're learning at your corporate gig, you're learning as an artist, and you're again, it's not compartmentalizing. You're literally just growing in the midst of all of the things that are put in front of you.
Yeah.
Right. You're not seeing one as a failure or one as ultimate success. You're growing from all of those things. And I think that that's really, really important. And I'm glad that you have that because I feel like a lot of folks don't, they're just focused on this one way. What is this is interesting. And I don't know how interesting it'll be or how great for conversation it'll be, but like, and I focus on this a lot because a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, hey, I want to speak at your conference. Mm-hmm. You never did that to me ever. So you're one of the people that I always talk about when it comes to the way that I like to approach bringing people into our community and for leadership positions. Mm-hmm. It's not because they've reached out to me or that they're like a pro speaker or, their whole like website set up for speaking gigs and they've really transitioned out of the work. And then now they're just really focused on speaking and leading workshops and really just building a following and influencers and all of that stuff. What are the things to you personally that kind of keep you grounded from like, and still in the work versus kind of like, oh no, I want to be on my way out of the work is what I kind of feel. Right. I don't know if that resonates with you, but like, especially if you're online, LinkedIn, like I see a lot of people that like, I think their idea of success is like when someone's going to ask them to put out a book or when they self-publish a book or they create some marketing scheme that like you pay, this person, $99 for this course and it's going to solve all your problems. Like you don't seem to be going into that model. And maybe that's around the corner for you. I don't know. But like what keeps you grounded in the mix of kind of like what you're seeing, people projecting online is like the path for success for a creative person and kind of what you seem to be doing, which is way more grounded, just doing the work, grateful, getting up every day, creating new things, getting outside, painting, like all of the things that you do. Like, does that make sense? Like I feel like there's a difference in person and I'm trying to I've been trying to personally figure out what that difference is so that I can hone in on it and better serve the people who aren't trying to be influencers, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's probably like two parts to it. I think one, I'm just like a shy person. So like the idea of like cold emailing and just asking for something is very scary to me.
Sure.
Which is like tough because I think that unfortunately it's like what you have to do in life sometimes. You just need to ask for the thing that you need or the thing that you want. And people do have success. Like I had a friend recently work on a one-off project for the Jonas Brothers, and then he just was like, "Can I work for you guys full time?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "That's amazing. That's so cool. I wish I were ballsy enough to do stuff like that. That's just not, in my nature." And I think the other side, and this probably is going to sound real like high horsey, but I'm just not interested in like the inauthentic or like the stuff that feels kind of snake oily from folks. Like,
I love it when I hear
absolutely nothing wrong
snake
with
oil from other people, because people, my friends that are not creative, hear me talk about this stuff and they're like, "You're an idiot, man. Like, you could have written a book. You could be putting together this whole thing." And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah. I think there are totally people who can be influencers and can be like thought leaders. And they can pull it off in a way that doesn't feel gross and slimy. But I think a good majority of people, like, I just feel like when I encounter that stuff, I just feel like I'm being sold to. Like, I hear all of the marketing speak and all that jargon, and I'm just like, this probably works for somebody, and that's great that it does, but for me, it just feels inauthentic, and I'm not interested in that. So I think I'm just personally not super psyched to like go down that road. I probably like, I know when I'm like thinking through stuff, I like talk like in my head, I'll talk like I'm teaching something. And I feel like that is some of that energy is like, I could go down that road, but I think I would rather just do it in like small settings of like, a workshop, like a one-time workshop, or like talking to my friends about a thing or talking shop with other designers. It doesn't feel like it's in my own nature to go out and be thought leader person on LinkedIn. And I think like there's a place for that. There are lanes for that. I just don't think that that's for me. I think I have found a lot of great success in just do like if I want to paint, I'm gonna paint, and I try not to like get it into my head that I want to monetize it and turn it into a whole thing.
Right.
And I think by nature that's just I think how it ends up going sometimes. But I try to just like do the thing I want to do without trying to like sell it and sell myself constantly, because I think again that works for some people and that works for some audiences, but that doesn't work for me, and that's not something I want to consume from other people. So I don't know.
And again, you're right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with folks that are doing that. It's like different strokes for different people, or whatever that phrase is. I can't think of it right now, but like, so I guess what I think too is that we've all been sold this bag of goods of like fake it till you make it, right? Which there's some truth to that, right? Like I've done that a little bit. I'm sure you've done that too. But people take that and then they see, it's not just, here's the problems of scale, right? So a long time ago, and by a long time ago, I really mean like mid 2000s, there were only certain people that were kind of like had arrived, right?
Yep.
And not everyone that needed to arrive had gotten that point, but there were certain people in everyone's community that had arrived and you looked up to. And nowhere, for most of them, nowhere in that in their mind was it like, oh gosh, I've got to monetize this part of it. I've got to monetize the thought leader part of it. It was just that they had done all this work and they were someone that you looked up to and you wanted to do work like they did. And then you basically have, and this is all before the algorithm and all before, hustle culture and all before like the fake it till you make it thing. And then you put all of those things together, hustle culture, fake it till you make it, and the algorithm. And now you see too many examples of that being kind of that pathway shoved down your throat. And you think it's the only option to, some people, I will say this, some people are just looking at it monetarily. Like, I want to be making six figures. Some people have brands like Six Figure Creative or whatever. It's just like, you've got to be making six figures. If you're not doing that, you're not doing it right. Okay, fine, whatever. But like a lot of people just want more followers. A lot of people just want to make more money. And so I think I can see how that's really, really enticing and it looks like the right path.
Yeah.
But I think like you, I follow people who are just doing the work and have something to say every once in a while, or have a certain forum to say it in, like at a conference or at a workshop. Again, not to ever stifle anyone's or lower anyone's ceiling or aspirations, but just, I don't know, there's something snake oily, like you said, about what I'm seeing online. And I think it's just because we've got too many people saying it, too many people trying to aspire to it, and really just like, hey, I'm a graphic designer, so I can make my marketing plan and project look exactly like this person who's like in their 70s trying to, or a masterclass, right? Doing the same damn thing. So I just think it's really, it's super admirable to not see another creative like yourself going that route, at least at the moment, and just hearing your thoughts behind that. Because again, like I feel like design at the moment is kind of torn between like the idea of being a content creator and being someone who actually creates for brands and creates for other people and creates as a service. Right.
Yeah.
One feels way more artistic and like, ego driven. And then the other one feels just a lot more authentic.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is like the one that does feel more ego driven. Like it's so easy to like, for it to feel like that, I think, to the audience. But like I said, there are people who do it really well, like Meg Lewis.
Oh, like, for sure. That's a great example of someone who's
like, this is what they do.
Yes.
And this is the job, and they do it so well, and it doesn't feel at all like I'm being sold to, or like someone's trying to get me on something or tell me something that I should know that I don't know to make money. And Fabiola also is kind of like an artist creator. And so she is very strategically using, her social platforms to, look her art in. And it is more on the like content creator side, but it, again, just doesn't feel super slimy or weird. So it's possible. I think it's just really hard to toe that line without starting to feel super inauthentic. So
and I think for working professionals, it's tough to, you definitely have to, you also have to know that you can't simultaneously be doing the work all the time and be this. So you got to choose one. You really do have to, in some ways, pick a lane when it comes to these things. But back to Meg real quick. Perfect example of someone who's doing this. Meg is so unique. Meg is coming from a completely different perspective. And when were you in Seattle? Were you there when Meg spoke on stage, or was it the year before that? Was it in 2025 or 2024?
I think I was there in 23.
I wasn't there in 23, so it was 24.
Okay, 24.
The first one.
The year's run.
So I brought Meg in because I think for a lot of folks, I think people just think Meg's silly or crazy or zany or whatever. And she is definitely all of those things, right? Like, but the best thing about them is they can entertain people and communicate things that are somewhat heavy without going all the way there. And I feel like they're just trying to make a point in all of it, right? It's really, really smart. And they seem to be like the only one who's doing it that way. And so for Meg, go for it. that's what
Right.
the world needs, frankly.
Right.
And it's more than, and I know Meg would say this, but it's like, that story is not just for creative professionals.
Mhm.
That story is for a lot of people, a lot of personalities. I would say even people who aren't creative by practice, and then a lot of corporations. Like, she's a perfect example of someone who could go speak at a Procter and Gamble or an Amazon, right?
Mhm.
And like rally the troops around what matters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
And
like,
in a way that like sounds like good to the, the corporate S teams and the leadership. Like, it sounds good
yes.
there, but it's also like feels genuine to me, the, low level employee, and like is actually useful and fruitful. So
Yeah, I think it's funny because I know Meg would just kind of tear up, make little digs at like society, corporate structure, marketing, all of these things.
And bread.
Yeah, of course. But is able to do it in a way that, yes, it may ruffle some feathers higher up, but it really just level sets for everyone, like you're saying, and reaches that lower tier of workers that helps them understand, like, oh, okay, we all get what's going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, which goes back to what
that's what they're speaking to.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, and so getting back to kind of like this problem of scale, I just think that it's important for people to understand that that's not the path that everyone needs to aspire to.
Yeah.
There are other ways. And just because you don't do that doesn't mean that you're naive or you're selling yourself short or you're not working hard enough or whatever. It's just, I think the problem with this kind of one path fits all is that there are literally millions, if not billions, of personalities out there. And it doesn't work. One thing that works for one person doesn't work the exact same way for the other person. That's why it's so beautiful. That's why we need so many people. That's why you need diversity. That's why you need all the things in society that, like, when I watch an episode of Pluribus, I don't know if you're watching that. But watching an episode of Pluribus, you just see really quickly, oh, I know how this is going to end. Because everyone has to become one person, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so important. And I think, I just think it's something that we just all need to know there's a lot of different ways to do it. A long time ago in 2015, do you know Cotton Bureau?
Yeah.
Jay Finelli and Nate, oh gosh, I'm forgetting Nate's last name right now. Anyway, founders of Cotton Bureau.
Yep.
Came to Memphis, did a talk, like a 40-minute talk, and it was the greatest hits of like how we did this. This is how you got to do it. And at the very end, they basically just like, that's all bullshit. Like, that all sounded good, but the reality is it's going to work differently for everyone in this room. And I think that's, not to plug a conference that's coming up in Seattle this spring, but the hearing from a lot of different people. I mean, that's one of the good things that social media does and makes accessible. Hearing from a lot of different people that took a lot of different ways of doing it. You can literally, some things are going to resonate with you, some are not, but you can literally patchwork these careers and these lessons together to like grow exponentially. Like they went through it, so you don't have to go through it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just think that that's I think that's one of the things that people miss out when you're on your phone all the time and not in person. Are you trying to get out more? Are you trying to, like, what's the community like there in Nashville?
I think that the community is like in such a weird spot. Nashville's just been going through like a wild transformation probably over the last decade or two.
Oh, for sure.
And I think like
I was there in the 90s.
Yeah. But I mean, entirely different world. Every decade it's like a different thing. But like when I moved to Nashville, like the community was like, it was like the drinking draws were still happening. And there was like, tight little, lettering focus groups and, all of these really great communities. And I think within like 5 years of me moving here, those groups kind of faded away because some of these people were maybe like a little bit older and not, staying or keeping up with social media things and kind of just drifting off to do their own thing. And then now you have like this new class of people moving into Nashville, and everybody's coming from all over. And I think now things feel a little cliquey and kind of disjointed. But it kind of feels like that cliquey era is starting to fade, and now I think people are really thirsting for like good community. And I do think that there are some like creative leaders who are maybe not like corporate creative leaders, but like people in the community who are creatives who are trying to introduce spaces for that. So I am like cautiously optimistic for what's ahead, but I think right now the creative community just feels kind of very dispersed and unsure of itself. So yeah, that's Nashville's happenings, at least.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's what's interesting too. I think cities in the South, those that depend on hospitality and authenticity is kind of like their story.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of opportunities for brand work, lettering work, illustration work. I would say more that are in than could be in other markets, other cities. But like Nashville, Seattle had the same thing happen. So when I was in Seattle, 2004 to 2007, it was still kind of like the gritty, grungy, like Seattle that everyone kind of grew up with, or saw in, I'm trying to think of this movie. What's the movie where John Cusack holds the,
Say Anything?
Say Anything. Good God. I love the ending of that movie too. I think about it all the time. But yeah, it's like that same kind of weird, Seattle that everyone grew up with. But then Amazon decided to move in. Like after I left, Amazon decided to move downtown, and then Apple did, and then everyone else did, and then it's really changed things. Like so many people basically move into your town to get those jobs, and you start to lose something. And again, that's not all bad. I mean, it's great that economies are booming and things like that. It's just that, especially with rising housing costs, people tend to get pushed out.
Yep.
And then, the artists that, used to live in cities like Nashville and frankly, Memphis, and Memphis has its own issues, but like, Seattle, I mean, Seattle used to be just like packed full of small creative shops.
Yeah.
And artists like living downtown and living in the neighborhoods right around there. And a lot of those folks either moved back home, because a lot of them were transplants anyways, or they've moved out into the burbs. And so you just have a lack of density there. But I'm glad to hear that Nashville we have something similar in Memphis, and I frankly feel I'm unplugged here now, which is really odd for me. But I kind of feel like people are trying, there's spatters of things like trying to happen. And I just don't think it's the right type of leadership. I think a lot of it's focused around marketing and business communities versus actual creative communities, and actually focused on craft.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these folks have been sold the lie that anyone can be creative. Anyone can be an artist. Anyone can do this and do that. And that's just not real. That lasts for a little while, and then it comes back, and then you just kind of have to you can be cynical about it, or you can just kind of move on and let, the people who really have deep convictions about this work do the work and lead. So, but yeah. So what do you think about kind of like creative community? Like one of the things that I think is really interesting and I talk about this a lot, is, a long time ago, especially like pre-pandemic, a lot of people used to go to conferences, and it was like the family reunion. It was like the place where you saw people every year. I think for a lot of people, like Creative South, I don't know if you're familiar with that conference, but that was like the place, the family reunion. I think one year they even like branded it that.
Yeah.
And then, other conferences came along like Creative Works and then Crop, and we've seen our numbers. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the economy, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
And
totally.
we can talk about why the economy is in that place right now, but why what do you think about conferences and kind of larger communities and experiences like that? And what do you think we need to get right? What do you think we need to do better at, if you will? Because if they all just go away, that's not a good thing.
No,
right?
no.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that for a minute if you've got any thoughts about that,
Yeah. I mean, this is maybe the craziest thing to say to a conference organizer, but I'm not like personally a big conference person. And I think that's just because like I'm a little introvert and my
Sure.
soul like kind of gets sucked away in large settings like that. But at the same time, I've never met as many of my heroes in one space or been around so many really great people in one space. And more selfishly, I've not had better networking and connections in one space at a given time. So like the value of a conference is immense. And at the same time, like there's a mental toll on me when I go to a conference. So I think like the 2-day conference for me is like the sweet spot, because I like that gives me time to connect with some folks, learn some things. And then like if I'm in a new city, I get, a day to explore around or whatever without getting absolutely burnt out.
Sure.
So that would be like my nugget. But at the same time, like I've gotten some of my best gigs off of people I have met at conferences. Like I got to do some stuff for the Nashville Soccer Club here that was so fun, and that was from somebody I met at Creative South, like just walking around.
Yeah.
And then of course, like you get to, see some of your favorite people speak. So like you had Paula Scher come. I don't know that I had like this amazing fondness for her before, but to see her speak and just like talk about the literal last 5 years of her career and how like wild and crazy that was like so cool. And then for her to just like be amongst the people, afterwards, that's great. And so I don't know. My thing is just like I personally just don't always have the mental capacity for a conference. But I will say, like, when I do get reached out to, which is not terribly often, to like speak at a conference, the one thing I'm looking for from the organizers is diversity. Like I mean, and I know that's a very 2020 conversation to have, but like it's still the thing. Like if I see that your usual audience is all white or all white guys or something, I'm not going to be super excited to come. Or if your speakers, same thing. Like if it's all one type of person, I'm probably not super interested. There's obviously still value in like getting my name out there just for work purposes. And I'm still meeting people who are great, but I think I just want to feel safe in a community and feel like my voice will have value in a space. So I think that to me is still the biggest thing. DEI, which is, buzzworded out for the year, but like I just want diversity in a space.
Well, there's a lot of, again, not my people, but there's just a lot of people who think that DEI means a certain thing that it actually doesn't.
Right.
And that certain things happened with DEI that actually didn't. And I am sure that you can find examples of any policy anywhere that have been taken advantage of, someone's taken advantage of. I think in a lot of ways, when you have nepotism and cronyism, this is kind of funny, but people don't think about this. Like in our administration, I guess I got to be political, but it's like, to drive this point home, it's going to make sense. Like in our administration, if you don't think that people are going to be taking advantage of something, and they're pretty much all white, like if you don't think that someone's taking advantage of something, just pay attention. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And so in any system, formal structures, especially in a society like America, in a capitalistic, unbridled capitalistic society, people are going to take advantage of certain things at certain times. But you put faith in the system and you put faith in your leaders. That's why you elevate leaders that didn't climb a ladder, and you elevate leaders that have principles and values and all of these things, so that you can ensure that the right people get in leadership and the jobs and all of those things. Like, it's just,
it gets boys clubby, and people hire and surround themselves with people who are like themselves, and it just becomes kind of a circle jerk, for lack of a better term.
You're speaking my language. I love it.
But I mean, like I said, I've been to conferences that are very like monocultured, and it's very specific type of person. And those are the same conferences where I didn't feel very welcomed, or I didn't feel very comfortable. And I can't say that that's all on a conference organizer. Like, I'm a shy person. I might not insert myself as much as I should to get the best experience, but I just want to at least see another person that looks like me in the space.
Sure.
Just to feel safe and comfortable.
And I think the other thing too is the reality that there are a lot of different types of communities, right? Like, there's the community that, like, I mean, there's communities where evangelical Christians feel really, really safe. And then there are communities where, again, that's a weird thing to say out loud, but it's true. Like, there are communities where people from the LGBTQ plus community feel really safe. And again, it's an intentionality that's happening, and that has to happen at the conference level organizer, at the conference organizer level, for that to actually play out in real life. But again, sorry, not to draw a dichotomy between those two groups, but just the good thing is there's probably a community out there for you, that checks whatever boxes that make you feel comfortable and seen. I'm just grateful to, like, we've had a lot of discussions around this, and the unfortunate thing is in our industry, the amount, like, just naturally in our industry, and for other reasons that are long, been happening for a long time, like, our industry isn't as diverse as it could be and should be.
Right.
And so you're dealing with certain dynamics at play, but you just have to be intentional about making sure that there's a spot for everyone. You want everyone in the seats to see a version of themselves on stage.
Right.
And I think that's what it comes down to.
I mean, and you kind of start to touch on a good point in that conferences, and I'm not saying that they should be cheaper, but they are expensive. And I think there is probably a good chunk of conference attendees who are going on their company's dime. And, this is maybe a stretch, but if a company is not hiring diversely, that means that your conference attendees are maybe not going to be as diverse, because they may or may not be able to afford to come to a conference. So it's all connected, unfortunately. But I don't know. I think it behooves a conference organizer to make their crowd more diverse in some way. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to like do the high school textbook where you have every type of diverse group, together.
Right.
But like, if the point of a conference is to be sharing knowledge and information with people, you probably don't want to just be sharing the same knowledge and information that person can get in their daily life. You want to bring them something fresh and new. Like, that's why Meg came and spoke in an internal conference that we had. And that's a perspective I am almost sure that nobody had probably seen before. And that was like fresh and new. And she is not an Asian man who brought this very specific experience to us. That's a white person of the queer community, and they, have like such a fun and different outlook, and that was fresh and new. And I think that is the benefit of bringing a diverse, speaker set, and, then attracting a diverse audience is you get fresh ideas, different ideas. You get to think outside of your norm. I think maybe that's not the purpose of every conference, but I do think that is, at least in the creative community, that feels like a goal that a lot of people are striving for, is to have fresh new ideas presented.
Yeah. And I think there's very few products and things in commerce that are just marketed towards one, you know, group of people, right? And so if you're going to do a great job at your job, you need to learn all kinds of different perspectives from as many people as possible to do the best job at your job, especially in a country like America that's incredibly diverse. Whether or not anyone wants to, you know, admit that or lean into that or not is another thing. Here's something that I want to touch on too, and this is a little bit self-serving, but I think it's a good thing to say. So our conference was getting up to the price of $550 a person as soon as last year. I mean, that's what the tickets were in Seattle, which is incredible compared to things like Adobe Max. It's like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. That's totally affordable. But we brought our prices down this year to $399 for individuals and $199 for students. Those are the same prices that we had in 2000 in I think 14 or 15 in Memphis. And intentionally, you know, to be more accessible, because we serve our community of creative professionals tends to not serve. I spend a lot of time, I will say this, I spent a lot of time trying to court Microsoft and Amazon and finding the right conversations, the right people to contact, and then learning, you know, the next year that they're not there anymore. T-Mobile, I mean, every large corporation, Starbucks, I'll just keep on naming all of them. Like, I've spent so much time trying to get one person from that organization to come to the conference. And what I learned over time is, like, we're just not the best fit for a large corporation. We're the best fit for small operations, freelancers, small creative teams, in-house teams. And so in an effort to be more accessible to all of those groups, we had a lot of people. I had a ticket last year for nonprofits, and that sold really well. And so in an effort to kind of continue this and to make sure the right people are in the room, that's my biggest thing. Because if we sold out, the vibes at Creative Works would be very, very different. And I know that. And it's not about making money for me, unfortunately. Like, I wish for my own family's, you know, well-being, it was at times, but like, it's just not. So I think it's important that, here's what I want to say. I mean, we made it more accessible, $399, $199, which I hope works. It's still very slow going, honestly. But I think the thing that I want to kind of drive home with at least this conference stuff or community stuff is that there is no corporation out there right now that is like signing a check to pay my bills. Right? Like, this is like me and like friends who get a lot out of this, like donating things, you know, putting up our time and effort and money. There's no corporate sponsors. As of now, there are no corporate sponsors. Last year, there were barely any corporate sponsorship dollars to be said. You know, people throw money at us to get like their logo on the website. But like, these things are just going to go. That's the unfortunate thing, is these things are just going to go away because the marketing budgets in corporations right now have just like been gutted. Or the marketing budgets for things like events have been gutted. You know, they're still going to market to people, but getting out to an event, especially an independent event with, you know, a few hundred people, is just not going to be a priority. So to tie a bow on that is just to try to make sure that people understand that, like, you've got to find a way to support the things you love, whether that's the coffee shop down the street or the cool little, you know, card shop or, you know, creative gift shop down the street. You've got to find a way to support those groups. And I think it's just, in a lot of ways, I just think this is kind of like an anti-corporate kind of thing, but like finding ways to kind of scale back on who you're supporting. You know, again, you work for Amazon, so I don't want to say this, but like, one of the problems with what's happening right now is that, you know, now Target's got to have 2-day shipping. So they've built an entire team and infrastructure around 2-day shipping, like Amazon. And there are, I don't know how many employees, but you fill in some crazy number, larger than you probably think it is, number there, and they've got to pay all those people. And so those shareholder prices, they're going to cut something from somewhere else, or because those shareholder prices are going to stay up. And it just, when everyone's trying to be the biggest and do the same thing as everyone else,
Yeah.
it's not good for us.
No.
And so that's why it's important to shop small and shop independently, support local things, support things that you really care about, or they'll just literally go away. And it's not because the organizer or the business owner wants them to, obviously, but it's just like, you've got to be able to make a living.
Yeah.
And if everyone just works for a corporation the rest of their life, I just don't know that that's the world that we want to live in.
Yeah. But I think, like, to everything you're saying, this is why Creative Works is almost always at the top of my list when I'm like recommending conferences to other creatives, because the attendees and the people are so chill. Like, I feel like half the conferences you go to, vibes are like super weird because it's all these like corporate folks, tech company folks, like bro guys. And like, I'm not trying to be in a space for 3 days with that type of person. But I think because you guys are targeting the right people in the right, period of their life, the vibes are just good. Like, I have a good time when I'm at Creative Works. And I can't say that I've been to Creative Works 100 times to be able to say that's true every year, but I've never heard, a bad thing from, a friend who's been. And I think that's because you guys are targeting y'all do a great job of curating diverse speakers, and that attracts a diverse audience. And I think because you guys are going, or maybe not going after the small guys on purpose, maybe it's just because the corporations are being a pain in the ass to court, but I think that just begets you guys a very great crowd of people who are like-minded and just like good-hearted humans. So
yeah, it makes us authentic and we stay on brand, right? Like, we don't have to sell out.
Yeah, you have control over everything because you're not,
that's right.
Pandering to.
That's right. So if you are a corporation or a small group who has a marketing budget, you can obviously support our conference. You get free tickets to the conference and good vibes all around. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm just stewarding something that was already there and special before I got to it. And unfortunately, I feel like the group that I serve tends to be the more vulnerable group. It's the more diverse, the smaller ones, the ones that aren't trying to grow at a scale that's insane, and not sustainable. Because, I mean, what we've all seen, and you're at Amazon, Microsoft. I mean, a lot of these companies that that had grown up, in the 2000, I guess that was there was a huge growth area in like maybe 21 or 22 to like 24.
Yeah.
And then
everybody like overhired and went crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I mean, you kind of felt like, oh man, we're back.
Yeah.
And then the moment the economy tanked, and again, just guess why that happened. The moment the economy tanked, it's like everyone lost their confidence. The money stopped being spent. The companies have to fire people. And then we're back to this probably more realistic numbers. But I'll say this, they've gutted, like corporations have gutted kind of like the smaller jobs and given the people that are still there a lot more work. And then like gutted creative teams, like teams going from 200 to 100, and you're expected to do the same amount of work. And so you got to get the ratio back to what it needs to be, I guess. Not everyone can always operate at 100, but I just look at the salaries, frankly, of some of these like CEOs that are making ridiculous amounts of money, and that they could afford like desks for their creative team, or they could afford some things that like it's getting ridiculous. And
the ratios are insane between CEO and worker pay for like,
of course,
no solid reason at all.
No solid reason other than wealth. And then, if you listen to anyone who's got any sense at all, like at a certain level of wealth, there's literally nothing else that you can do with that money.
Right.
Like,
right. Well, even like Mackenzie Scott, Jeff Bezos's ex-wife, like ever since they got divorced, she's been like giving money away, profusely giving amounts of money away. And I'm pretty sure she's still like, she has amassed more money than or like is still amassing money and like can't
Of
give it
course.
away quick enough. Like that's too much
Of
money.
course.
That's
Yeah,
too
I don't. I mean, I think maybe some things will come out about Bill Gates, or I don't. I always Bill Gates is, because of the Epstein files. Bill
Mhm.
Gates is always like some weird shady figure now, but
Yeah.
used to be. I mean, he has this whole thing where he's about encouraging billionaires and millionaires at a certain level to start giving their money away
Yeah.
because it just doesn't make sense anymore.
No.
And I listened to a guy named Scott Galloway. I don't know if you're familiar,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
him and Kara Swisher do the Pivot podcast. They're such a great team. But that's one of the things that Scott talks about all the time. It's just the ridiculousness of wealth.
Mhm.
And that at some point, the thing that, again, I've said this in other podcasts, but the thing that just will never make sense to me is that if these corporations want to stay healthy and leadership wants to make money, if we don't have money to spend, that won't happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
They're just hoarding everything.
yes, I don't understand. I just don't understand why they don't understand like the distribution of wealth has to change for things to still rise.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
hoard it for long enough, but if we don't have money to spend, what are you going to do with it? Like
Right.
how are you going to make more
Right.
money?
Well, and there's just no, like, the idea of the self-made billionaire is like the funniest thing to me, because no billionaire has become
Especially
a
this
billionaire
generation.
by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yep.
Like you built that wealth off of our backs, and for you to
That's
not
right.
like turn around and at least make sure we're like existing okay, not even like thriving, just existing, just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't like help anybody.
And I think the problem is, I mean, you could say it's greed or whatever. It's just, it's people wanting to grow too quickly
Mhm.
without understanding the human impact.
Yep. Yes. Every day I wake up and I'm like, I don't understand why it's even gotten to this point.
Right.
Like,
Oh, I
shit
know.
is throw back every day. Like in February, I was like, I don't know how we've gotten this far. And now we're at this point where now people like, I mean, it's crazy that it took a white woman getting shot and killed in a point blank. I'm sorry to like have taken it straight to that, but like it's crazy. I don't know. It's also mind blowing, and it just feels crazy to just like want to care about humans, and that feel like that's like a tough position to take. Like that, like I don't know. Like I don't understand why it's a two-sided issue to like care about the people around you and care about all. I don't know.
It's the idea. It's this weird fear that other people have that something's going to be taken away from them.
Right. Right.
Which won't happen.
No.
And you've got enough guns now that you can defend yourself if something gets taken away from you. So
yeah, more than enough, I would imagine.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty safe, and no one's coming to take something from you that you have earned. But anyway, you know what? Before I get on another, this is kind of amazing though. All that to say is that here's what I guess this was not what I was searching for, but I think it's incredibly hard to not be political or to speak up about political things. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to connect with you. It's why I reached out to you this week to get this going, or last week to get this going, because I kept seeing the things you were posting and going like, this is so important. The power of I say craft, experience, expertise, but like the fact that you're like putting yourself out there and you have the power of articulation, like editing it down to that piece that is going to say that one thing and just that one thing and be those colors and all those things. It's so incredible. And so anyway, I think the work that you do is incredibly important. And I think it's just hard for us to not be political.
No.
And if you're uncomfortable, and if you're uncomfortable with these conversations, that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I don't think you need to just turn us off and be like, well, fuck those guys. But like,
I mean,
the gist
it kind of should be uncomfortable. Like, what's the point of like any of this? If it was comfortable, we wouldn't be having these conversations. We wouldn't even be talking about stuff. Like this has to be like I don't know. I have to remind myself of that too, because here I am sitting behind my computer just making a little poster of things, and I honestly probably should push myself to do something that makes me even more uncomfortable, because like that's how this changes. We all have to be uncomfortable, and it's not fun. This sucks that we have to speak up in this way and like do stuff, but like that's the only way any of this changes. They want us to be paralyzed and confused and frustrated and fearful, and we can be all those things, but we just have to like keep moving in spite of that.
That's right. Well, that's a great place to end it. Thank you so much for being here. Where can folks find you online? What are your handles, website, all of that stuff?
It's Cymone and Moose everywhere. CymoneandMoose.com. Handles for social things are Cymone and Moose. I'm unfortunately not on TikTok because I'm one of those. I'm an old person now, I guess. But
same. Someone encouraged me to get on there the other day, and I was like, no.
Like I don't have the time. I don't have a corner in my brain for another app, so just have to find me on the usual ones.
That's great. Well, Cymone, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I look forward to gathering with you at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Take care, Nashville. We'll speak to you soon.
All right.
Thanks for listening to State of the Union. If this episode pushed you or gave you language for the tension you're feeling in your own career, please share it with a friend or your team and leave a rating or review. It helps more creatives find these conversations and keeps us going. And if you're looking for a community that actually reflects the world we live in and not just the loudest voices in the industry, come hang with us this spring in Seattle at Creative Works West. Registration link in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and thanks for caring about people as much as you care about the work, and for staying in it even when it's uncomfortable. Got a story about a win, a setback, or a shift you're navigating in your own career? Send it to stories@creativeworks.co. I'd love to hear it and maybe share it on a future episode. State of the Union is produced by the Creative Workers Union, hosted by Josh Horton and edited by Sydney Gladue. Until next time, keep showing up, focus on your craft, and remember, you're not alone.